VRChat is a place where anyone can become anything they want to be. A zootopia of the virtual world in a ways. On any social platform, love is also naturally going to bloom within the communities, and while some are only skin deep, others can last a lifetime. We Met in Virtual Reality, a VRChat-made movie out on Hulu and HBO, tackles the tales of friendship, love, and communities. Today, I want to take a dive into this immersive experience together. Hey there y'all, my name is Nuoance, and if you're new here, I'm a VRChat content creator. I do other things, sure, but my main media has always been within the confines of this virtual game. As we grow larger, people are showcasing and utilizing this virtual space to fit their own niches within, and building communities from the people who wander its worlds. Plenty of creators, myself included, love to dive deep within the social, psychological, and economical side of the games and talk about the lasting effects it has to the waking world. We Met in Virtual Reality is a movie that tells the stories of primarily three groups: a VRChat couple preparing for virtual marriage, a duo who together with the others teach ASL through VR, and a quirky couple that they've met once before and ache to reconnect. There are also touches of others within the showcase, though they are scattered and don't have as much consistency as those previously mentioned. Before I deep dive into my experiences watching it, I do want to mention my concerns and expectations coming forward. When I saw the previews for this film, I had deep concerns with the ideal of romanticizing virtual relationships and making things seem better than they usually are. Love stories are possible in VRChat, don't get me wrong, but there is also a hookup culture that I feel should be addressed properly when showcasing the game to people who do not know what we are about. My second concern was that it would show a fake side of VRChat in standard movie fashion. This is similar to my first point, but more generalized. Often with films, you have to find a way to keep the interest of the people who are watching, and so I was half expecting to see things that were unnatural and maybe fabricated for the sake of flow. Now, I'm not saying that everything in the movie is 100% accurate, nor am I claiming there are lies tied within the pages of its tale, but I can say with accuracy that overall I was satisfied with the representation shown. It was mostly about the more private groups rather than the massive whole, bringing in community days, dance lessons, and education, but that in itself is a large part of VRChat that isn't focused on enough in terms of mainstream media. Most videos that go viral, at least from my perspective, are either about drama or messing with strangers in public worlds, which nothing inherently wrong with that style of content, but it is refreshing to see more about the deeper layers versus the usual stuff. Before I get into my opinions on the movie, let's just give it a more in-depth look at what this film was about. The main focus was making bonds with people online through the medium of VRChat, and mainly follows a pair of three people. The first is the story of Dust Bunny and Toaster, who met at a dance class and bonded over the next few months. This couple has met in person at least once and seems to favor doing cheesy date-like things that regular couples would do in real life, but are a bit more nuanced in VR. The second group is It's Your Boy and Dragonheart, who are also a long-distance couple that had been together for over a year and a half at the time of this film. They showcase their journey of getting married within VRChat, a popular event back in the day, and the symbolism of their union. Finally, we have Jenny and Ray. These two are teachers for a community known as Helping Hands, which focuses on teaching sign language through the VR medium. They speak about their experiences through love, life, and comfort that the VRChat has brought them. I may be a bit biased, but these two are easily the best part of the movie. Their entire story was just very enchanting to listen to. The others were also sweet, but at least to me, their piece of pie had much more of an impact. I have a dear friend who has lost their brother to suicide, and some of us were actually in the Discord call when he got the news. The next few months after that horrible day were some of the hardest, and really brought many of us closer together. We didn't know his brother personally, but we were there when things got heavy, so hearing a similar story really hit a soft spot for me. I understand that terrible feeling of having to be there for someone, but only behind a screen and not being able to do more. That feeling of seeing someone that you love and cherish start to lose themselves in despair and grasping at any straws that you can to try and keep them around. And I'll be honest, it did bring me to shed some tears. In this video, I want to cover three specific categories: what I liked about the movie, what I disliked about the movie, and my concerns that I presently have. I am no review channel like usual, I'm not a cinematography expert, but I do want to speak about this film as a frequent player of VRChat, nothing more. So, of course, as usual, this is my opinion. Firstly, we do need to go over the issues I had with the film, because you always save the best for second last or something. Personally, my biggest gripe with this documentary was the fact that it started out showcasing different events and groups of people. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved it. I keep planning to do something similar, but social anxiety and ye olde imposter syndrome hits me hard. Hearing about the different groups, what purpose they had, and plans for their future was a refreshing way to push the different creators into light. However, it was short-lived. The only real purpose I felt that it had was to introduce these characters that are meant to push the story along. There was also a random bit with improv, which was used as a transition to one of the previously established couples, and while their love story was cute, I would have loved to see more about the story of the group related to improv, for example. I recognized one of the actors, who appeared in Mr. Beast's crappy talent show a while back ago and captured the hearts of many. It would have been amazing to have something tying back to references that people outside of VRChat may have known about. There was another section that showcased DJ events, and just that was it? It felt like a commercial or a weird break more than anything. While the improv was at least tied in somehow, the DJing to me seemed like super random and out of place. I would have liked it better either just cut altogether or pulled back to relate to the previous trio. Really, the only other problem I had was the original concern I brought up earlier, the hyping up of romantic connections between people online. Online relationships have always been dodgy and come with a ton of hidden problems that aren't really brought to light enough. Ginny lightly touched on this at the end, but that was about it. I'm all for showing more real side of love and how VR does give you a chance to break free of stigmas and expectations that you've boxed yourself into. But I also strongly personally feel like it breeds unrealistic expectations on how love works online. The struggle between lovers in person are so commonly talked about, and this would have been the perfect medium to do the same but long distance. Of course, I do understand why that might not have been possible. Honestly, being the focus of a movie that will forever immortalize your relationship is already extremely vulnerable, and each person talked about things that were near and dear to them that weren't so easy to release. That final nail in the coffin could have been very well too much, and I'd rather have a light dusting of, hey, remember, this won't always be sunshine and rainbows, over forcing any person in the film to expose things that they aren't comfortable with. So, I mean, I get it, but also it was just a personal gripe that I think could have been incorporated a bit better. Also, this is very small, like the tiniest of things, so do not take it personally, but there is, even before the camera update, a smooth camera option that you can use to move your camera around and it doesn't jitter in your hand. It's not a big deal, but it's just whenever the smooth option wasn't on and they were holding the camera, you could really tell. Like, I'm sorry. Just a tiny pet peeve I wanted to say. I hope that wasn't too painful, though. I don't mean any disrespect in the slightest. I'm not trying to say, oh, they suck. I could do totally so much better. I'd love to do something similar like that one day, but, time and fear and imposter syndrome, maybe it may never happen. However, if it did happen, I would love to give the same respect that I would expect towards me. Getting on to the good things I liked about the film, my absolute favorite part is once again the segment talking about the two teachers from Helping Hands. That part was beautiful and such a raw drawing of emotions that even the people who I watched with, some of them memeing on the entire movie, were quiet and drawn into their lives. I feel like the film itself really let them take over with what they wanted to say and talk about, instead of trying to push a narrative or make things more dramatic for the immersion. The scene about Ray's brother was shot in a way that you were just kinda there with them. It truly, to me, captured the feeling of a late night talk with someone who is moving up from an acquaintance to a close companion. And I feel like that was the best way to do it. Sitting around talking about those secrets and pains that have been eating away at us is part of the full experience inside of VRChat. When I say it's a safe haven to many people, I mean that literally. People get the game to buffer out the pain, stresses, and fears of real life. Of course, there's a balance that's meant to be had, but also people aren't perfect and will have their moments of weakness when all they really need is a friend who's willing to listen. I was also a really big fan of the segment with the space dogs, although they weren't there for very long. Just having them there talking about while VRChat isn't an all-inclusive space, it's better than the waking world at times, and people are much more likely to accept you for who you are on the inside versus the outside. But you can also make yourself look different at no cost. No matter what you change into, you'll always be seen as their friend. It was sweet, and I would have loved to hear more about their lives in general inside the game. I also just really enjoyed the pacing and switches between the core cast versus just getting the entire bit done and moving on to the next one. It made the story feel more like a journey rather than a retelling of events. In reality, I think the content like this is a great artistic medium and could have their own episodes. Like 30-minute segments just to talk about and appreciate different groups of people. Ugh, it's making me want to try again, but the fear! Regardless, some of the transitions from story to story were cleverly done and felt natural instead of forced. The pacing went never too quickly. You were always given just enough information to understand what was going on within the setting that we were at in the moment. This is another small thing that has zero bearing, but also going back to the DJ section, I really liked the visuals. I was ready to hear the DJ start talking about their gigs, or maybe they were connected to the wedding itself or something, and was kind of disappointed when nothing happened. Whoever you are, this is a fantastic shot of you, and I wish I looked even 10% as cool as you did. Also, I thought it was hilarious because I had asked a friend beforehand if the belly dancer was someone by the name of Dust Bunny, who I followed on Twitter, and also followed their ballroom dancing on TikTok. I was told no, and when I went to double check it, it turned out I followed them both and Toaster. So, look at that, I guessed right, and I hope you're watching this and realize that you lied to me. In terms of my concerns, these don't have to deal with the film itself, but more in terms of how it is absorbed by the community and people who are outside of the community. I've always called VRChat the internet personified, and even now that still rings true. I first went to check how HBO's Twitter handled the documentary announcement, and unsurprisingly, there were some negativity around. People complaining about streamers, where's Knuckles, who cares about this cringy shit? Many people weren't willing to give it a chance. And I really hope that the creator, Joe Hunting, isn't feeling discouraged with the negativity that comes in. I'm seeing tons of positivity, but as a content creator myself, it's always those nasty comments that sting the worst. If you're somehow watching this, let it be known that regardless of my own creative opinion or the opinions of others, you did something that not many others can claim, and you should take pride in that. This wasn't videos like mine where I spent at most 2 weeks working on them. This was a film that was in production for months, over a year most likely, documenting the lives of real people who play this game. Each story, regardless of anyone's opinion on them, is told respectfully and through the lens of those involved, not through the view of the creator himself. And to let go of that control and work with the people you've met to share their stories is something not so easily done. I know firsthand the frustration of trying to see VRChat through a deeper, more personalized lens, where it's more than just memeing around, spamming animations, and causing mischief for the laughs. Sure, some of it may be cringy, but it's what makes people happy, so let them live their life. Giving people a chance to talk about and express the things that bring them joy is one of the most meaningful opportunities that you can get, and it's really disheartening when people do not give them that chance. I went around and decided to look at some of the different reviews, and while some are over the moon positive, others weren't as nice. Just to solidify the whole internet personified bit, there are people who legitimately don't believe there are communities outside of crashing, harassing, and memeing in the public lobbies, and consider themselves aware of the dark side of VRChat. Which, if I could take a moment to tangent, what is with people and their obsessions with the dark side of VRChat? Like, honestly, I've unironically heard it be brought up many times since I've started my creation journey, and I do not get it. This weird idea that everyone has to have some secret underlying evil, as if every community has a bad attached with the good, and the bad's always really bad. Sure, I think it's important to talk about relevant problems in the film, like the dangers of dating long distance. Not every single group you run into is secretly run by someone evil. There is a problem, yes, and these people who are the problem need to be dealt with naturally. But trying to pin anything regarding VRChat as toxic to its core is toxic behavior in itself. I also firmly believe that some of the negative reviews are less about the movie itself and more of, surprise, surprise, people being pissy about the EAC update and taking it out on undeserving creators. And I am tired of it. Damn, can we be happy for 1 minute that something positive came out of VRChat? Regardless of what you think about the movie, there isn't a moment where they tried to make the game look like some dark evil entity that toxic people who play this game try to do constantly. And you know what? I'm happy to finally have some more positivity. I'm so sick and tired of all the negativity. Yes, the dating scenes were cheesy, like super cheesy. but I'd rather watch that 10 times over than see another video go viral for only showcasing the worst in a game that has such a blend of groups and communities. It is literally impossible for every single person that plays this game to be considered bad. It is important to talk about the issues within any platform, but VRChat has a specific niche of hell that you'll go viral one of two ways. You either start messing with strangers in public worlds, or you talk about the darkest, most vile things you can find within the game. It's exhausting. Realistically, I know that people are going to meme over the documentary regardless of how well it does. It's just VRChat's nature. However, I hope that maybe it'll give more of a positive light on what comes within the community and what these quiet communities are like, and not just the people that you choose to see. VRChat is a place that allows you to do whatever you want and to influence people in ways that you weren't aware of. Communities like Helping Hands helps bring people together and spread awareness and empathy for those who are different from you and me, and that is a good thing. So maybe the movie didn't exactly resonate with your experience in the game, but that doesn't mean that their experiences aren't real. It just means, like anything else, we all have different priorities. I do think there should have been more of a direction to an extent, but overall it was an enjoyable piece of work that I could talk about with friends. I hope that this movie brings a more open mind to people who play casually. Perhaps it'll make others more curious about involving themselves within communities. And honestly, after watching this film a few more times, I've also been inspired to put a fire under my butt and actually try to do what I've been afraid to do for a year now. Because realistically, I think it's just as important for all these communities to be made public for people to see, understand, and learn about. I know firsthand how it feels to have nobody and want to belong somewhere. And I'm positive there will always be a place outside of all the clubbing and drinking and messing around for anyone. So overall, I'm glad I got to enjoy the film. As someone who has a bit of a romantically adverse personality, it made me die inside a little bit, but it was also a great start to pushing out a more positive look on the game so many of us do hold dear. As usual, y'all, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my content. It always means a lot to me. If you have any kind of group or lifestyle that you want to promote through VRChat, I would love to hear about them. I would love to be a resource for all of you, so perhaps you can find a group of people that can be your forever friends. As usual, make sure to drink your water, eat your broccoli, and have a fantastic day. See y'all in the next video.